Welcome to Healing the Spirit, a space where we awaken our creativity, deepen our connections, and remember who we are through the lens of astrology, archetypes, and art making. I'm your host, Jonathan Coe. Hello, everyone. I have a really special conversation today with Britten LaRue. Many of you know Britten as an astrologer, a teacher, and also through her podcast, Moon to Moon, which is dearly beloved by many people I know. I often hear that some of you found me through Britten. We set out to record a conversation on the topic of living emergence, and we absolutely did that. But to me, this whole conversation is a very potent masterclass on healing your relationship with your power. And specifically, we talked about it through the lens of how coming home to ourselves and anchoring through change can become pathways to uncovering our power and practicing and exercising our power. Over the past 6 years, I've had the privilege of collaborating with Britten. I've been teaching alongside Britten. I'm currently a faculty member in her multi-year Emergence Astrology program. And I've also learned extensively from Britten. She was my first astrology teacher and a mentor and also a dear friend. So I've witnessed Britten contemplating these topics in many different at many different points in her journey. And also, I've witnessed her transmission ripening over the years. So again, this conversation feels extremely potent, and I'm very excited for you to receive from it. Let me read Britten's bio for you to introduce her for those of you who may not know Britten well. Britten LaRue, MA, spends much of her time speaking and writing as a teacher, author, and public astrologer. Britten's deepest calling is to be a midwife for those in process of birthing their own inner knowing, healing from shame, and learning to trust themselves again with the reckless freedom they deserve. I love that. Creator of Emergence Astrology, Britten has served thousands of students through the transformational programs and courses at the Emergence Astrology School and is most proud of how she connects the folks in her community to one another. Britten is the author of Living Astrology, How to Weave the Wisdom of All 12 Signs into Your Everyday Life. You can explore Britten at her podcast, Moon to Moon. Before I let you dive into this conversation, I also want to let you know that Britten is in the process of launching her membership space, or what she's calling her homeworld space, which we also discuss in the conversation. And the space is called, ta-da, Living Emergence. So, enrollment will be open starting November 4th, and I will make sure to link all of that in the show notes below. And if you resonate with Britten's voice, I definitely invite you to check that out. Okay, I think that's it. Here's my conversation with Britten LaRue. Welcome, Britten. Thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to have this conversation with you.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'm really thrilled to be back.
I know that we have a very clear topic that we want to talk about today, which is the idea of living emergence. And I believe that at this point, or at the point of us sharing this conversation, you would have been releasing this offering, right? Or you would have been announcing this offering.
hmm
Yeah.
I'm going to announce on October 9th.
Okay. Fabulous.
Uh, okay.
Yeah. So by the time people hear this, for sure, Living Emergence, or at least the announcement, is out there in the world. And I wanted to have you on because I feel like you have a lot of wisdom around this topic of living emergence. I was also recently on your podcast and we talked about that. And I feel like our conversation in your pod on your podcast ended up being pretty conceptual. And
Mm.
yeah, I want to hear your take on it now. I want to begin with um I want to begin by reading you something that caught my attention, Britton. Like right before we came
Mm.
on today, I tuned into your podcast, Moon to Moon, and I've heard the intro like a million times at this point. But there was something you said in the intro that I was like, ooh, I think this is a really great entry point. So I want to hear what comes up in your mind when you think about coming home to ourselves, anchoring through change, and uncovering our power one loving step at a time. I'm curious how that lands for you in this moment.
That's cracking me up because I feel like it was yesterday that I like heard it again. And by the way, listeners, Jonathan created the music for my podcast.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that these words are set against. And I was like, wow, that's so amazing that I created that now 5.5 years ago. And it still feels so true.
Mm,
Just like, whew, that's pretty amazing. For someone who does change a lot. It's pretty cool when some things don't change.
mm,
Yeah, so it's interesting. What's lighting me up is thinking about something that came up in Emergence Astrology Year 2, which you're one of the faculty members within. And one of the students pressed me to speak further on something that I say all the time, like about the intelligence of a sign,
mm,
and was wondering about, she was asking me to explain how how Leo in this case would be liberated. And what found myself saying was the liberation is in being the way that it is, being the way of the sign, allowing it to be, to just express. And I feel like for me, coming home to myself feels like a liberation because it's just being able to be. And, you know, that is not that simple.
mm, mm,
It's just not that simple when we say, like, just you do you, or like, just be who you are. I think for me, that was always like crippling. It was like a double shame because
mm,
it's like, not only am I being shown to not be quote unquote being myself right now, but you're telling me that I should just simply do this thing that I'm not even sure what that means because I felt like I was handed so many like scripts and syllabi as a
yeah.
kid about how to be myself. And I was trying to fulfill all of them and get an A in all of those classes. And it had never occurred to me to wonder how to be from who I am.
Mm,
Um, to be like the one who's investigating that. And I think part of the hardship there too was feeling like there was an answer that I was supposed to get to. But really feels true to me the more I quote unquote come home to myself is the allowance to just always be learning about this. And that it's like a daily question, that like there's no pressure here, there's no test coming, like who are you, Burton? Just be yourself. To be at home in myself for me feels like the permission to be the permission granter.
Mm.
Like this is my home. And in
Yeah.
my house, I give myself permission to fill it in. And for me, a lot of that is to be very contradictory and to be not knowing and to be messy, which were all things that were like deeply taboo for my younger self because I was appointed the one who had it together
Mm.
as a kid, being a firstborn sister.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, so where are we? You asked about coming home to ourselves. So, yeah, I feel like I really love bringing people along with me. I feel like we're like on a ride together. We're on a ride. We're on a ride learning about coming home to ourselves, and we're all doing it differently because if we're going to give ourselves permission to say like this is my home, then everybody gets to be the creator of that and the steward of that. And so like how to help myself and others with language, invitations, musings to support the difference within like the gesture of wanting to come home to oneself, that we can share that together. But I can't tell you exactly what that looks like for you
Yeah.
because that the whole point of the liberation is to sense it for yourself.
Hmm.
And then I'll
Which is
pause
where
there in case
the
you want to jump in. I know we still have the other parts of the phrase, the mint moon intro.
Yes. I mean, I was going to link it to uncovering our power because I feel like you're
Hmm.
starting to talk about that a little bit. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Anchor through change, I had in the middle. Um, yeah. I feel like there's in this process of rooting into home, there's like a vertical process I really enjoy where the roots of me are learning what I'm anchoring into.
Mm.
What is holding me?
Mm.
What is holding me? And as someone with not a lot of fixed placements, this has been like the big question mark of like, where is this Pisces fixed? Like, where are the deal breakers? Where
Mm.
are the lines? What are the cornerstones? Like, where do I know, like, this is where I am and this is where I am not? As a very fluid person who really enjoys like camouflaging into different environments and changing my skin. And I enjoy that. Um, and who am I? Like, where are those fixed places?
Mm.
So for me, anchoring through change has come to feel like just like knowing who I am in those rooted places, which feels like to me what integrity is,
Mhm.
and feels like what the sort of truth is, and feels like when I get lost, this is what I do know. And that I can always stop and re-anchor there wherever I am. But then the change part is sort of like this sort of like visible process at the top of the coming forth from the vertical of what's seen, the visible changing is rooted in something deep below, is what it feels like.
Mm.
And because to me, emergence is playing with change.
Yeah.
And like it feels really great to know what holds all that. So the anchor part feels like the more I trust in what's below me, the more I'm like, I'll be able to adapt and respond and mutate in ways that will still feel true to me at an integrity place,
Mm. Hmm.
which is also a thing that only I can actually decide for myself. You know, we talked about it in moon to moon in our living emergence conversation
Yeah.
that we, from a human design perspective, also from just a kind of intuitive awareness of collective shifts, we are feel to be moving away from our integrity being a thing that we like sign contracts with affiliation groups, systems, religious dogma,
Yeah.
and we're moving more to contracting with ourselves from our own knowing about our integrity.
Yeah.
So we will want to be more able to adapt to difference around us because everyone will have their own anchor. And then when I have that, feel able to trust in the mutating process that's always happening in the diversity of being people in ecosystems with things always like dappling light change.
Yeah. Yeah. What's coming up for me, Britton, is also on a very personal level for myself, and I think a lot of people that I talk to as well. One of the fears is, am I mutating or changing shape based on what is true to me? Or am I just changing shape based on what other people want of me? In other words, like, am I just people pleasing, right? When I'm shifting shapes. And I think this phrase you offer up of anchoring through change, and then this imagery you were kind of exploring earlier of figuring out like what is underneath is so provocative to me. There's something there about like doing the both and, right? That yes, we're honoring the nature of reality, which is always changing, but we're also paradoxically, when we honor that things are always changing, it leads us into an exploration of like, then what is not changing? What is true, right? Hmm.
Yeah, 1000%. And it's because of the the difficulty that we often have in trusting that we can be the ones to do that anchoring from an authentic me place
Mm,
that shame and unshaming became such an important project for me
mm,
because it started to be clear that what's between us and trusting in our own capacity to write our integrity contracts with ourselves is this persistent change that we shouldn't be trusted with this. That there's something wrong with us,
yeah,
that we're not reliable, that we don't have permission, then that we can't trust ourselves. And so that's why unshaming and shame, like looking at shame, talking about it, and being at the vulnerability of that has taken on such a huge role in my work because it was just such a clear. Well, first of all, it's just such a clear pain point
mm,
with like pretty much everyone I speak to in a vulnerable space of like reading or being in a learning container together. But it's also just it f- it feels like what's in the way of trusting in our own capacity to hold that sword.
yeah, yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you're saying here is that there are these layers of shame that are preventing us from being able to see what's holding us together, like what is at that root level of who we are. Is that
Yeah, I feel like
how you
that's
would
it.
conceptualize it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The number one consequence of shame is lack of self trust, which isn't an all or nothing thing. It's like I have self trust or I don't have self trust. No, it's
Mm,
like a spectrum.
yeah.
But that sense of like, do I trust myself?
Mm, mhm.
I feel like that's a big piece in the anchoring.
Yeah.
And then it's fractal because it's like, do I trust in the universe? Do I trust
Mm,
in something beyond myself? Do I trust in the larger animated world to support me as I'm moving along my way? Because the thing is, we're not still like um in the ground, like our home is moving, so to speak. Like it is a kind of chariot through the experience of time and
Hmm.
season.
Hmm.
And so we're constantly adapting and wondering about what choice to make all day long. And it feels like empowering change, exciting change, change that you feel like you're a participant in co creating in your life. We trust that process more easily the more we feel anchored in what we do really know to be like a lasting thing in ourselves.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah.
Does that resonate?
Yeah, it does resonate. I think it's making me think about um it's making me think about cycles actually, which is so prevalent in a lot of like more ancient systems of considering the nature of reality, right? I feel like in the past, maybe 400 years or so after Enlightenment, was this chapter where we're maybe needing to move away in terms of human evolution from that idea because we're trying to figure out like what is the formula, you know? And as you're speaking, it's making me think about how for much of human evolution, we've always been very connected to the idea of like cycles, right? That reality moves in cycles, and that part of the cyclical awareness is allowing ourselves to move through different phases. You know, we're not these like fixed beings, but I think maybe there is a bit of an illusion, and it makes me wonder if shame is a mechanism to try to fix that worldview, you know? Because
Mm.
when we look at life or relationship from the lens of shame, it fixes us in a moment in time. Like there's kind of a freezing quality to shame. Like shame keeps us locked in a very specific time and place and sensation, right? When
Yes.
when we talk about shame, I mean, what I think is so fascinating about shame, Britain, is that it's like sometimes I don't even see it. And the moment I see it, it like then everything else becomes like, whoa, I can't believe I've been living like this, you know? But it almost has this like overarching quality to it, and it like blocks the view, you know?
Yeah. So many things came forward. I do think shame is like a very skilled spell, that way.
Mm, mm,
Like it's a kind of spell that we're under. It's so skilled because most of us don't like recognize it as such.
yeah.
We just think of it as the way we are or the way the world is or
Mm,
the way things happen to us. And I'm also thinking about how I think of shame as a return rather than something in the present.
mm,
And in that way, it is interesting. It's almost like we're wanting a cycle. So shame returns us.
whoa.
Maybe it's like, if you're living without the awareness of cycle as the intelligence, which is what in the modern world we have, we were born into, because we were born into like an industrialized train track time.
Yeah.
Maybe the intelligence of shame is to practice returning because it really is all about the past.
Mm, hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
And the hard part, I think one of the hardest parts of unshaming is that there is a comfort in the return. I mean, there's a comfort in the old stories.
Yeah.
We don't know what it's like to not have those stories.
Yeah. 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 It's
So
like
it's it,
the heaven is unknown and the hell is very familiar in a way.
yes,
To put it in a very binary term.
Yeah. And so it's then we can feel shame when we're like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me that I like my shame, And then and all of this is like okay and welcome and not shaming because there is no destination where like we're suddenly going to be like, well, it looks like I'm shame free. So that's amazing. Like that's not going to happen.
Hmm.
So we just, oh, there it is, and that can be very helpful to the feeling of oneself as a person who anchors
Mm.
because I think when you're committed to interrupting the shame pattern, every time you do it, you're like putting down deeper anchors and roots
Mm.
into your sense of self.
Yeah, yeah. I have a question, Britton. I
Hmm.
want to hear, recently in our conversation, what came up is how this is your seventh year in your public practice, which is a whole Saturn square, pretty wild to think
Yes.
about. And I'm curious what you've learned about doing this work as a mystic, as a teacher, an astrologer, a transformational guide. What have you learned about how has the practice of becoming aware of these shame stories or these shame patterns impacted how you evolve your work?
Let me think. Evolved my work. Well, I feel like when I came, if you go back and like read Living the Signs workbooks, which is before I was talking about shame in this overt way, it's all really there. But I do think that once I came into unshaming the signs and the language around shame and unshaming, I felt like I'd found the heart of it. The heart of how we're going to do this, like whatever it is that I'm wanting to do. There's we can drop into that, and there was a kind of resonance that then began to show up between the people who showed up,
Mm,
especially
mhm,
that the unshaming rhetoric magnetizes. Like when you know everyone who's showing up is down for this, like
mm,
openly, we're
mhm,
openly not trying to be perfect. We're open to the fact that shame is present here. We're open to the fact that it has spell like qualities where we may just suddenly realize it like mid sentence, like we're all open to the vulnerability of being seen in our messiness. There's a kind of frequency that emerges in the space that is extremely powerful between human beings that just is truly breathtaking to me. It was always there in my containers, but I feel like once I found that language, it just became that much more potent. It became a kind of agreement that was what everything that I'm doing is I'm going to help you with this.
mm,
And we're agreeing that astrology is a language uniquely designed to support us with unshaming.
mm,
And that was a kind of liberation for me because I always knew that I wanted to play with the language in my own way. And the language of unshaming helped me to kind of be very open about that. Because for me, the first part of my career, I felt very like uncomfortable with the term astrologer as if I was going to have to perform a kind of astrology that I knew wasn't truly home to myself.
Mm.
And so coming into the coming into the framework with the unshaming helped me to be much more like laid bare about it in a way that then I don't have to worry about not meeting someone's expectations for the kind of astrology they may want.
Yeah.
And like we all just understand what we're doing here.
Hmm.
I hope I kind of lost track of the original question, but I hope something came forward there.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I'm hearing in terms of my question, which is how this lens of unshaming has evolved your practice, is that to put it very simply, it brings a level of honesty and vulnerability
Hmm.
that allows transformation to happen and maybe
Yeah.
allow the intelligence of that change to move through you, your work, but also the people who are um, partaking in your work.
Yeah. It something very magical happens through the steps of it, which involve noticing and validating what you notice
Mm,
and witnessing, and then, like really talking to the wound.
hmm.
And when you do it with yourself, it's incredible. But when it's happening in community, it just ripples multiple times over. It's so powerful in group work and
Mm,
group relating. And it sort of like naturally creates sovereignty in the space
mm,
as well. So there's like this level of connecting happening
yeah.
while at the same time, everyone's getting more rooted in themselves. And
Hmm.
so it's, it almost just feels like it's has its own intelligence beyond just personal empowerment. I
Yeah.
say just like that's not a big deal, but personal empowerment is really powerful. But it's incredibly powerful to be feel truly seen and witnessed and celebrated by others in your unshaming path and seen in ways that many people may have never felt seen before.
Yeah. Yeah. A moment ago, you used the word sovereignty, and I'm kind of wanting you to maybe talk a little bit more about that. I feel like that is a word that, as with all concepts, I feel like we as humans have an evolving relationship with that. And I'm curious to hear what you mean when you said you noticed kind of sovereignty being in the room where there's a group of people. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it does tie back to anchoring and like fixity,
Mm,
um, especially when I think of sovereign as tied to Leo in many ways in the solar
yeah.
and really like holding it with yourself. So that when something's coming up in conversation and relating with others, there is not a panic about how to stay connected to someone, even when something is aggravating your own integrity, meter.
Mm,
And you know that your answer is going to be no, or it's going to be what I'm hearing is this, but I see it like this.
mm,
Let's hold here in a moment of we see it differently. For me, sovereignty feels like I can stay with myself no matter what is coming up.
mm,
And that trusting in that allows me to be more available to listen.
mm,
Because if I'm very, very scared, and it would be an inner child usually that is, if I'm very scared that I'm going to have to obey or agree to stay safe and abandon my own sense for things, I'm not, I'm going to be sitting there so worried about protecting myself that I'm not going to be able to hear someone else anymore. I'm no longer witnessing them. I'm their truth is no longer even important to me. It can't be because
Right,
I'm so concerned with my own safety
right.
because I don't trust in the anchor, and that's okay. Like I'm learning, right? Like it grows over time and cyclically. But those are some of the things that I think about with sovereignty is
Yeah.
like the appreciation for others while staying with myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Mm-hmm.
we don't have to match. I don't have to match other people.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm letting that land because that feels really powerful. Couple things come to my mind. One is the idea of like having your own back, right? Which to me, this is
Mm-hmm.
actually just a really natural part of maturation. Like it almost feels like, why wouldn't I have my own back? But I do think that so much of maybe how a lot of us have been raised or just kind of the collective consciousness at this moment in time doesn't always allow that. We find safety and security through a kind of belonging, but actually, to me, it's not really belonging. It's more like conformity to the tribe,
Yep.
right? And to the kind of collective social agreement. And um, the other thing that came up is also this idea of being able to witness someone else, which I think is really profound, Britton, because for me, what has been surprising as I allow myself to practice like having my own back is a lot of the times I actually don't know what the other person is saying.
Right.
Like we're using the same words, but I'm getting activated because I hear something, but when I actually really check in with the person and I slow down, first I would slow down within myself and notice and validate how I'm personally feeling. And then I would take the time, take the energy to ask them clarifying questions, but usually very quickly, what I'm realizing is what activated me is not the same thing as what that person is saying,
Yes.
right? Or it's coming from a different place. Like maybe, as that person's saying something, okay, I'm gonna try to see if there's a concrete example that I can share here in this moment. Mm, I'm thinking about an interaction I have recently with someone around asking for a reduced rate for some services that I offer. And it's interesting because when that came through, I noticed that what showed up for myself was maybe when someone asks me, "Oh, can I get a reduced rate?" It's making me think about whether this person values my service or not.
Mm-hmm.
And in talking to them more about it, I'm realizing, oh, this is actually not even about me. This is
Mm.
about that person and where they're at financially. And then from that point, I can make a decision about whether I am in the position to offer this to them as actually part of my service, right? That this has nothing to do with how much they value my service. This has nothing to do with whether my service is good or not, but I can relate to it from a space of like, oh, they're expressing to me their financial situation, which then makes me reflect on my financial situation. And then we can see if there's a middle ground that we can find, or maybe there's none, right? And either way, we can do it cleanly because we're no longer in that mismatch. Like this person's asking from a space of, oh, my financial situation, but I was receiving it from the worth of my work,
Yes.
which are two
Perfect
different,
example.
yeah, two different dimensions, right? Two different rooms, actually. Um, yeah. What is this bringing up for you, Britton?
Yeah. I mean, it's also bringing up for me as a steward of my voice in the world. If someone makes a comment
Mm.
on my post
Hmm.
that disagrees, um,
Mm.
or finds a problem with it, like for me, what can happen is I can, or I have over the years learned to I've gotten practice at this, Jonathan. Ah, a phrasing I have is the louder I get, the more they leave, which sounds bad, but actually it's very confidence building because then leave. The people will leave. And then the
Yeah.
people that are staying are like, keep talking, you know? And
Yes.
it's a great
Yes.
thing because it's just like, okay, they're leaving. That's wonderful. And I'm
Yes.
more and more, the crowd is getting bigger of the people
Mm.
that are like, we're here for this, you know? And that's
Yes.
great. But, over the years, like, am I going to stay with my words, even in the face of someone dismissing, um, not understanding, not holding the nuance, not reading past the first tile or whatever. Like, and I had to learn, like, when I create a post, it's just very important that I feel in that like vertical axis of like, do I
Mm.
feel good about this?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel great. This, yes. So no matter what happens, that's just somebody else's feeling about it, opinion about it. Like some, okay, great. Congrats, you have an opinion. Like I don't want to belittle people. So
Mm.
in my integrity, I'm not interested in dehumanizing commenters, even if I've been dehumanized. But what can I trust myself to do? Can I trust myself to know that I will remove certain things that don't belong in my space? Like, okay, if you are going to dehumanize me, then you don't get to be here. And
Yeah.
how can I feel good about that not being dehumanizing? Like moving through that has been a real process because I have
Yes.
values around not dehumanizing,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
like, how do you hold to your value
Yep.
in the face of that material?
Yep.
How do I hold like wanting to love and have compassion for all beings
Yep.
in the face of harassment, and like, what is going to be my way, not somebody else's opinion about what I should do, not people's
Hmm.
advice about what I should do, but
Hmm.
the me way, like anchoring through this, like, this is what is here. Do I feel good from my own home? And that is then, okay, learned it. That just solidified my roots even more. Because if it happens again, I've been through it. I know the me way.
Mm.
I have a pathway now.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
before, I didn't have any footsteps down
Yeah.
to understand what the hell to do when you're openly harassed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, those are some of the things that brings up.
Yeah. I have a couple responses there for you. The first one is actually, I wanted to read you a passage. Give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with this musician? His name is Chick Corea. He is a jazz
Yes.
pianist. Yeah.
I say yes, but only like I know the name.
You know the
So
name.
honestly,
Yeah.
I don't know the music.
Yeah. The other day I was reading this, Britain, and I was kind of shocked by what I was reading. Because I was like, whoa. Um, he had this section that says personal policies as a musician. And this is what he said. Number two is, though I may become interested in the viewpoints and opinions of others regarding my music, I always rely on my own viewpoint, tastes, and judgment to determine how I should present myself, what I should create, and how I should communicate. And then number three is, I never compromise with the music I've decided I want to make or the communication I really want to deliver. Number four is I consider others' opinions of my music as a kind of survey and use this as secondary information to help me better understand my audience and their responses. And then number five is I never blame the audience or make them wrong for their response to my music and my performance. I grant them the right to be how they want to be and respond how they want to respond as an audience.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that last part is like, are you invested in the power of your audience or not?
Mm. Hmm.
In their power, they may choose they don't like you anymore or they don't
Right,
want to learn from you. Do
right,
you, are you here to, are you going to celebrate that? Like
right.
that's where I come up against my sword and, you know, yeah, I do want to celebrate their power.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, that's so beautiful. I love that. I saw, recently I saw Bjork, um, filmed long ago and I was like, that's it. And she's saying something like, if you turn to yourself and focus on pleasing yourself, there's a decent chance you're going to please a lot of people. If you focus on pleasing a certain number of people,
Mm.
there's a really decent chance you will please no one. It's like, there it is.
I love that. I love that. And I think the second thing I was going to bring up to you too is I feel like something I've observed over the years of knowing you and being in conversation with you and interacting with your work is there is a real alchemical quality to what you invite yourself and other people into. And it's really transformative, and I think part of transformation is moving through the stickiness, right? Because there is a part of us that resists that change. I think that's why change can be so powerful, because the the potency of the resistance is correlated to the potency of like what else is possible, right? And when that's like a real uh heart of the work that you're here to steward in the world, naturally some people are going to be like, wow, I'm so offended, Britain. I cannot even listen to you right now. Like, no,
Mm.
don't tell me, right? And yeah, I've seen you kind of navigating that and also growing your capacity to work through that. And I'm curious now in this, to kind of tie it back to the idea of living emergence, right? How has moving through that and growing through that experience of being a catalyst for other people help you in your own process of living emergence?
Hmm. Yeah. I would say that I've been very helped by the invitation of the volcano. Over the years, different voices have reflected back to me um, that I have volcanic qualities. And um, one of them was Lisa Quigley, who we both know.
Hmm.
She did like a psychic, some kind of reading at my essence. And this picture of the volcano is like speaking to like, okay, a volcano can wreck, like kind of like take things out. Um, does that mean that a volcano is evil in itself? You know,
Mm.
the volcano has its own intelligence. The volcano is doing the intelligence of the volcano.
Mm.
And that my in this picture of that, what I see is me sort of in the volcano, just sharing volcanically
Mhm.
and just letting anyone around the volcano do what they want to do about that. Like visualizing some people are moving away. They're not in a place right now where they want to get near that whole lava thing. And other people are like, this is exactly what I want right now. And
Right.
another healer once years ago Ali Hunger had shared. She did like a layers of the aura reading, and she saw in my aura that this idea of a volcano creating new land, and just like trusting that what's coming forward is like important, and just stay in that creative place where you're not
Mm.
really paying attention to
Mm.
people moving closer or away, or in these ways that like thinking about something like algorithms, like that is like such a waste of time when we're talking about this.
Yeah.
And that's where my pleasure is. My pleasure is in being in the volcano. The anchor here for integrity is, do you trust that what's coming forward is made of love? Do you
Mm.
trust that what's coming forward is going to nourish and support those who come near it, and the ways that are meant to move through them, that are actually none of my business because that's between them and their guides and their soul. So stay where you are
Mm.
and be in the joy of the channeling, creating process. And that has been very helpful for me to just kind of stay with what is emergent for me and what is coming forward for me, especially when a lot of people do. I mean, I think years ago you told me something about kind of moving away from my voice a little bit while I was teaching on something because like wasn't you weren't up for being mutated by it at the time. And I just loved the honesty of that and just felt like that's so loving, like,
Mm.
yes, people will move out of the way. They may
Yeah.
mute me, block me, unsubscribe because the timing is not correct, or like
Mm.
whatever that is their business. And I need to be in my volcano.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. I love that you're bringing it back to the sovereignty piece because I do feel like this is something that inevitably everybody who's putting out their own original work is going to have to contend with, regardless of what your industry is, right? And I do think that, for example, in the artistic industry, it is almost understood, that like okay, I'm gonna use Bjork as a great example of this, right? I would be
Yes.
obsessed with one phase of hers, and then the next album, I don't want to listen anymore because her exploration was not interesting to me at the time. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to return to that album in 10 years, right? But I do think there's kind of a natural like we're not kind of in this codependent, like, oh my God, I love Bjork. I have to prove my loyalty to her, but I do
Yes.
think that it's funny when we're in the business of offering services because sometimes, especially because I think it's because it's so tied to human relating. Right.
Hmm.
And human relating up till this point is just extremely codependent. Let's just be real. Like
Yeah.
I've been reckoning with this a lot, Britton, how much of my own sense of safety has been, um, I've been under the spell that in order for me to feel safe, other people have to behave a certain way, you know? And
Hmm.
I would say, comparatively speaking, like I'm probably much more not mired in that compared to many other people. But I noticed this, like, for example, I am very okay with like friends leaving and going. I don't think this is a problem. I think that that's just how resonance works. That's just how frequency works. If I'm suddenly, um, if my radio station is suddenly broadcasting heavy metal music, right? My friends who have been listening to me broadcasting country for a while is not going to like it. That's just the
Right.
reality, right?
Totally.
Or if my house has been painted red and everybody's like, "Oh my God, I love your red walls." And then suddenly I change the color to blue, I probably will attract a different group of people, because it's a different room now. Um, And yet, what I'm noticing is this happens in layers, right? Like it can be more painful when the people who have to leave are the people who are in like closer to my inner circle, you know?
Hmm.
Like that
Hmm.
that can require a different kind of skillfulness. I want to read you back something that I think you wrote recently in one of your emails. You wrote, when my commitments are not forged in obligation or shame, endings can be an act of love and honesty, both for myself and for the other person, which I think is just so, like, I really have been sitting with that sentence for a few days since you sent it, because there's something that really resonates with me there. And I'm aware that maybe some of this is the similarity in our designs as well. Um, you know, you are a 3-5 profile in human design, and so am I. And something that people talk a lot about is, or Ra has talked about that profile specifically as being about making and breaking bonds, and the intelligence in making and
Mm-hmm.
breaking bonds. Um, okay, so I guess I want to tie this into your offering for some reason. Like I'm just feeling
Hmm.
like, oh, there's something here about Living Emergence, which you've been calling, in one of your voice memos to me, you call it a home world space. And I think here's my question, Britton. It's interesting to kind of try to look at the two concepts together because I think for a lot of us, the idea of home and the idea of um, community comes with this idyllic picture of like, we're always gonna kumbaya forever and ever together. But I think what I'm kind of hearing from you is especially bringing in this sovereignty piece, bringing in this idea of endings being a compassionate, loving, natural part of any human relating. How do you conceptualize that in the idea of creating a homeworld space? I'm gonna put that into space and I'll let you answer whatever is flowing through you as I'm
It'll
bringing in that
flow.
invitation. Yeah.
Like push me back to center if I get too far away. But yeah, this is really interesting coming off uh, those edges about endings.
Mm,
Um, you know, I have always had a school uh, in teachable, that there is a initiation and then there is an ending. And we're together and then we're not together,
mm,
all together at the same time.
mhm,
And so moving into this homeworld model, I can give suggestions about length of stay, of course, but rather here, I'm putting it to the players to decide when the ending is, you know?
mm, mhm,
And the ending doesn't have to be final
mm,
because maybe you just want to come back, like swim in and out. That's up to you.
mhm,
And like, we're all going to be different. Like, that for a younger version of me would probably be too activating, you know?
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how am I going to just handle people leaving, Like, oh my gosh, everyone leaving is a sign that I've done something bad or
Mm.
that there's a problem here,
Yeah.
that this isn't working,
Mhm,
that this
mhm,
isn't any good, that this isn't valuable. This, uh, who am I to just have this terrible space because people chose to leave, Um, I'm like, just, I hate to, I'm going to just invoke beyond. Like, I do feel beyond in the sense that my roots have gone so deep. My
mm,
roots are so deep that it feels like a natural stretch to say, I really like the idea of endings being available. This is a different doorway. It's
mhm,
more permeable. And then homeworld. Yeah, so that came in meditation. Um,
Mm.
I just heard it. Okay. Words like membership, subscription model, community, I'm just kind of like eye roll. I mean, no offense. We have the words we have, it's
Yes.
nice to signal what something is and have people understand. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I understand the value of these terms.
Yeah.
Um, that's what these things are. Okay. Yes. But my Pisces Mercury likes evocative language, that you can't really define. So on the flip side of subscription model membership, I present Homeworld.
Mm.
Um, and hmm, I hadn't really thought about actually naming what that means to me yet. But what I do like about it is the register of personal to collective, specific to vast.
Mm.
Um, it has this kind of like spatial playfulness that is what I'm going for here,
Mm.
where one is coming for that personal attunement to home and to self anchoring and to sovereignty. And it's also just like this world of things to play with, opportunities to practice your voice, to be with other people, to ask questions, to be challenged, to mutate. And we're kind of, that's that doing it together kind of thing where you're feeling it move through the space, move
Mm.
through beyond you
Yeah.
and at you. And it's like waves as it moves across the world of it.
Mm.
And it's a world because there will be participants coming from all over the world. And Earth is actually a really huge part of like the dream of the thing. Participating with planet Earth is something that I'm going to be bringing in a lot because I think
Mm.
that there are practices to fortify this whole vertical axis we've been talking about this whole time of anchoring through change. That
Yeah.
is what I think it is to live emergence. So that's why it's called living emergence.
Hmm. It's making me think about your Capricorn moon, as we've talked about too, because the word home reminds me of the moon, and the word world reminds me of Saturn and Capricorn. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, like there is
Oh,
when you were
chills.
when you were speaking about the cosmic and the personal, the collective and the individual, it does make me think about that. And there is a quality, I think, to the Capricorn moon that is like to me, the Capricorn moon does have this really beautiful mm, desire to want to embrace the world, right? Like whatever that means. And to like really make a home in the world. And it's kind of hard, Britain, because in a way, like we're kind of, I don't know, maybe this is now a Jonathan philosophy, but I think we're like sea creatures, you know?
Mhm.
Like there is a part of us that's like, we are these beings that are like mostly water, and we kind of want to merge, right? Even energetically, like we want to just kind of be with the all, and maybe we know that we're coming from that unity intelligence. And I think part of navigating life on Earth and life in the world is we are in these very individualized experiences that can be quite challenging for us to find a resonance, harmony, while also being on our own path.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so thrilled the way the rhetoric has shifted in response to toxic individualism
Mm.
as a kind of decolonial project to recognize our interconnectedness,
Hmm.
and how we are part of a whole body of this web, this whole sentient body that is the earth. And also, I think from my very Piscean nature, what's been harder for me is how to find myself within the unity. And so, and to do so in a way that is wanting to deprogram the conditions, the colonial conditions of thinking I got to do it all on my own, that I've got to figure it all out. I got to fight for myself here. Like pull yourself up from your bootstraps and just do it yourself. Make your own way. Like I'm not doing that. And sovereignty is important to the whole. If you think about it as like we're each a node in the whole,
Mm.
well, that each node is really important in its
Yeah.
own way. And each of us contributing our own unique voice to this whole song. And yeah, I love that you're bringing that to my Capricorn moon because that polarity with Cancer is just such a big deal to me.
Mm.
We connected back when Saturn was in Capricorn, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
nodes were in Cancer Capricorn. I think it was
True.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my chart ruler Mars is in Cancer, so that whole axis is a big deal to me.
Mm.
Well, it's a big deal to everyone. All of the axes are so. Every time I focus on one, I'm like, this is the most important axis. I do think living emergence is very Leo Aquarius as well,
Mhm.
but yeah, for sure, the Capricorn piece around. In this case, I feel like the way I show care, or the way I want to show care, is by building things for people to come into and experience.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
I think the invitation with our moon is unshaming the way you want to show care. You know,
Mm. Hmm.
we can't show care every way all the
Yeah.
time to every
Yeah.
single being.
Yeah.
My service through my moon is in building spaces and frameworks for people
Yeah.
to like sit inside.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. How did you know, Britton, that it was time for you to shift from um, as you said, being the teacher of framework magic, um, into, yeah, desiring to steward this project?
Yeah. It just really happened kind of naturally over the last year.
Mm.
Um, I Part of it was just sensing a kind of inefficiency to so many doorways in my business, like so many promos, so many things, and really sensing and hearing from my community on the one hand, like a wish that it was more clear what the pathway was through my work
Mm.
and feeling sort of frustrated, like I don't know how to do that with the current model. Like the current
Mm.
model does not have a clear pathway.
Yeah.
And part of me just wanted to be like, just don't worry about the pathway. Just do whatever you want to do, which I still think is fair.
Yeah.
And that it's still going to be really what the model is
Yeah.
within living emergence.
Yeah.
But the thought of like completely remodeling, is you got to have the right timing. And it just started to feel more and more like I have the capacity for this change. I can hold myself through the scarcity fears about the unknown of it. It's a totally different business model.
Hmm.
But I know that when I ground it in and it begins to be alive and a place that people go into, and I'm listening, my future self is going to be listening for like what it wants to be once it's full of human beings who are going to
Hmm.
change it.
Yeah.
I'll respond, and I know how to do that. I feel like I grew into my own maturity to trust in my stewardship for
Mm,
something bigger. This is way more dynamic to have this kind of wheel spiral kind of ongoing than to have clear containers with a start and end, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
And so, how to create a structure that feels elegant and clear while also being very dynamic and complex to the degree that anyone wants complexity. Because I tend to
Mm,
like and attract humans who like complexity.
mm,
And so, something that I was thinking about yesterday is because I'm keep having people telling me, just don't make it overwhelming for people. Just don't make it overwhelming for people. And I felt myself saying yesterday, the question is not, am I going to be overwhelmed? The question is, how will I satisfy myself?
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
Because practicing sovereignty in a space like this that's more dynamic than a linear class container,
Mm,
one has to incorporate enough self-trust to trust that any given month that you're there, you will find how to satisfy yourself.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
satisfaction cannot mean checking all boxes. It needs to
Yeah.
mean I went and took what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is wow. I can say so much about this. I'm kind of like, do I launch into this? Okay, you know what? It's here. Um, this is so interesting, Britton, because it is reminding me again of that email you sent about your relationship with data and your journey. Because, okay, just for context for those listening, in this email, you were talking about how in the early days of your, which you've also expressed here, in the early days of you running your business, there was this experience of every time someone unfollows or someone unsubscribes, there would be this feeling of like, did I do anything wrong? And then you arrived at this conclusion that data like unsubscribes and whether people still follow you on Instagram, whether people are signing up for your class is kind of out of your control. And there's actually a lot of different reasons why people are the way they are or experience what they experience. And sometimes they themselves are not even always reliable narrators of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I
Mm-hmm.
think when you were speaking about overwhelm, I've definitely experienced that in the past. And there have been a lot of different reasons why I was overwhelmed in spaces. Sometimes I'm overwhelmed because I literally went into the person's offerings and thought that, oh, this looks really cool. I want to be doing this work. And then once the work begins, I realize on some deeper, unconscious, subconscious body level, I'm not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
actually, I think this is what is needed, but there's a whole set of prerequisites that wasn't what I needed to go through other prerequisites. Like this is too advanced for me, essentially, right? It's like actually this happens a lot with me as a pianist too. I pick up a piece and I'm like, this piece sounds great. I started playing it and I'm like, oh, too hard.
Yes.
Or actually not even exciting for me. And then also overwhelm is such a collective experience at this point, Britton. It's like, who's to say, like, are you overwhelmed by the offering or are you overwhelmed by everything else that's going on in your life? Sometimes it's easier for us when we purchase something to just blame the product for being overwhelming when actually, oh, are you also, beginning couples therapy with your partner? Is your kid also moving through some sort of transition, right? Is your work going through some sort of transition? No wonder you're overwhelmed. Does it really have to do with the product? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's going
Mm-hmm.
back to what we've been talking about with regards to the sovereignty of people signing up, right?
Yeah. And as I'm in the design phase now, I'm really feeling into like, to what degree can I be clear?
Yeah.
Like keep things clear and elegant,
Mm,
like not too much. Like make it clear how to be here, but also not cater to pictures around completion being the like most important thing,
Yeah.
or a certain type of pace being what's required to get what you want here,
Yeah.
or a certain sense of being ahead or behind being a problem, because those
Mm.
are all things that we're not doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, who am I to, what part of someone do I want to negotiate with
Mm.
vis-a-vis the question of overwhelm?
Yeah.
And what parts am I'm not negotiating because I'm speaking to the part of you that chose to come here and unlearn those things.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
going to,
Mm.
that's, they're going to be the protector parts of someone that might show up, like you were speaking about when we're in an alchemical space. There can be a lot of discomfort when we're in resistance, which often looks like a protector who's like upset about something about the way things are in a space, say.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how much do I want to negotiate with someone's protectors
Mm.
when I'm trusting that understand the intelligence? So my work is understanding and grounding into the intelligence
Mm.
and then being as clear about that as possible
Yeah.
is what it feels like to me. I'm here to support you. This is for all my containers. Like, I'm here to support you. If you have questions, I want to know them. If you're confused, I want to know about it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if you feel like you can't find what you want, I want to know about it. And at the same time, if I trust in the intelligence of the design, then I'm not here to negotiate on the things that I feel really strong about, you know?
Yeah. 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 Exactly.
But yeah, the data piece. Yeah, the data is always going to be there, you know?
Mm.
The evidence is always going to be there of
Yeah.
like numbers and trends and things like this. And for me, I have to have a larger anchor than analytics.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Well, or I have to be able to hold it as like this the larger me who's like that's one piece of information among many pieces of information here.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that gets to decide how much analytics are going to matter in my creative process today, you know?
Yeah. That's very, very beautifully put. And I think it requires a lot of wisdom, discernment, and also experience to get to that
Yes.
point,
Yes.
you know? Because I think earlier on our path, it is necessary for us to kind of misinterpret the analytics,
Yes.
right? In
Yes.
order for us to be like, oh, actually, that doesn't matter as much as I thought it would, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
totally. It was like you were saying on Moon to Moon about um, making mistakes just being so helpful.
Yeah.
Misinterpretations can be so helpful.
Yeah.
Or like, I made a choice not to act based on the analytics, or I made a choice to do it this way to
Hmm.
respect the analytics. And then maybe you regret it, but maybe you're glad you did. Like,
Yeah.
all of those experiences help you to be someone that's like, I'm at the helm.
Yeah.
I trust myself, and I can regret a choice, and I'll
Yeah.
keep adapting.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Um, as we wind to a close, Britton, I'm curious if you have an idea of who would be some of your dream community members for this um dream co-conspirators, dream players for this dream world that you're creating.
Well, the kinds of humans that always come into my spaces. I really feel myself to be um, kind of accidentally hyper skilled at magnetizing the most incredible humans that are meant to meet each other. It's like
As
if
if
I
you have an exalted Pisces or exalted Venus, rather, in Pisces. Yeah.
I never would have done this about myself until my entrepreneurial path. Um, in a university, the students just show up because they're trying to fulfill a requirement.
Mm, mm.
Um, but yeah, that's like it's interesting too because my lot of fortune is in Aquarius in this 11th.
Oh, wow. Hmm.
Um, right, we're right with Pluto right now. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I feel like I attract those who hear the message and trust the resonance. And that's why there's a lot of diversity in my classes too, is it's not types of people or
Yeah.
identities or really different kinds of people from very, very different paths, but
Mm.
they are hearing the message and re trusting in the resonance.
Okay.
And so I'm I'm calling in those who are excited to play with each other and with themselves to practice their voice, especially that's what this is going to be for.
Yeah.
Because I do think our voice is how we bring emergence
Mm.
through,
Mhm.
which is an inclusive picture of voice as also our choices,
Mm.
like
Mhm.
throat.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
all of our choices are doing the talking. And so I think most people I know want to feel authentic and want to feel connected to like the voice that they came here to have. And there can be a lot of fear about fucking that up, you
Yeah.
know?
True. True.
Um, and like you, many, many people in my spaces have some kind of voice background,
Like actual,
like actual.
actual like singers. Yeah.
And Matt is a voice actor. I don't know if
Right.
you knew that, but as a side
Right.
gig. And he also has a great singing voice. But
And Matt is your partner for those who,
Matt, yeah, Matt is my
yeah.
boyfriend. Yeah. Also a Gemini moon like you
Hmm.
and a Pisces sun. Um, but it's really attracting those humans who understand that coming into that is going to be a vulnerable process. The voice and the throat are vulnerable parts of us. They're also connected to our like life force that is also the other opening of the body, the genitals.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
there's so much vulnerability there.
Yeah.
And so I imagine that I'll attract who I always have, folks that are kind of down for getting vulnerable, knowing
Mm.
that they're in charge of what they share. And
Yeah.
well, everything will be met with high respect for pace,
Mm.
and titrating will be very prized as a principle.
Mhm.
So, yeah, when I think about the different signs in the space, I do think Gemini will be very strong, just because always have attracted humans who like to to laugh, to chat, to talk,
Mm.
to be delighted, just to be delighted to be together, to be delighted to explore ideas together. And delight is going to be such a huge part of the space because that needs to be a compass
Mm.
rather than satisfying completions.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Thank you. Um, okay. One last question that I have for you, which
Hmm.
is if you think back to younger Britain who didn't know maybe that she was on an emergent path that had suspicions, but maybe is like a little bit scared to like let go of the structures, you know? Yeah, what advice do you have for her from this now moment?
Mm. Well, what came up is what I always hear from my guides, which is, you're doing a great job.
Mm,
It's so sweet.
mm,
She was always wanted to do a good job.
mm.
I really believe that everyone is doing the best that they can
Yeah,
at all times
yeah,
because we're all with our tools and circumstances of the present moment.
mhm, yeah,
Um, and from there, that's what we have to work with. So
mm,
she was doing a great job
mm,
always.
mhm.
And that I would tell her all timing is perfect.
Oh, I feel really tender hearing that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think my younger me was like waiting for something to happen.
Mm,
Um, and then it started to feel like everything was passing me by. And that was very scary.
yeah.
And it felt like I know something more. There's more, but I don't know what it is, you know?
Mm,
So I just tell her to trust that all timing is perfect
yeah.
and everything she needs is coming.
Mhm,
It's already there in a way, you know? But then it comes back to tools and circumstances. I didn't have the tools to be noticing those things.
yeah, yeah,
So I
yeah.
can't go back and give her those tools,
Mm,
but I can help her know that she was doing a good job with her tools
yeah, yeah.
and
Wow.
show a picture of what the future can be. You know, that I'm
Mhm,
here. I'm here for her. And going back to having your own back, like to me, that's what having your own back includes is
mm,
all those younger selves. You
mm,
have them.
mm.
They're doing a good job
Yeah.
with their tools and circumstances. It's like, I'm not going to argue with, but, no, you know? uh-uh.
Yeah.
They were, that younger self of yours was doing the best they could with their tools and circumstances. No
Mm,
arguments.
mhm. Yeah.
Um, and that is a kind of like, whew, radical shift
Yeah.
when you quit arguing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, what opens up, you know,
Mhm,
that's when things start to get really magical.
mhm, mhm. Wow. I'm tearing up now. Thank you, Britton. I wanna end here actually. I suddenly felt like reading you your own words, which
Mm.
I had captured from our last conversation. Um, because I think what you just said about honoring the younger self, letting them know they did a good job, that their timing is perfect, is really resonant and very much in line with something you shared in our conversation that I actually shared also with our students this past month. I quoted you. Um, I asked you at the beginning of our conversation on Moon to Moon, the Living Emergence conversation, about the definition of emergence, and this is what you said, and I wanted to read it back to you, and for our listeners here. For me, it has a personal and a collective signification that are deeply connected. The personal speaking to that which has been concealed, that which is becoming revealed. And so for me, what I like about this is that instead of a picture about a becoming that's out in the future, something that you've got to figure out how to get to, or you've got to learn these hacks in order to become that thing over there, that emergence is about becoming approachable to something that's already here within you. But the conditions haven't been there, or the timing hasn't arrived, and now emergently it's becoming revealed. So it's innate and inherent, the thing that emerges according to proper timing and circumstances. So beautiful. Thank you, Britton.
Oh, thank you so much, Jonathan.
I just always appreciate your wisdom, your heart, and your creativity. So thank you.
Thank you. And I
Mhm.
appreciate the way you help each of us illuminate our own gifts.
Mm, thank you.